Good afternoon to all of you. Great new year once again. This is our first meeting of the Distinguished Lecture Series for 2024. However, this is also the very first event of the Mahotsav, which is celebrated this week to signify Dr. Prem Jain's birthday that comes, unusually on January 26th. He was born on January 26th. He did his studies in Banaras, the Hindu University there, and many other things as part of lore, and a lot has been written about those things. Today's session, we have Tanmoy Sinha, who is Director of Digital Transformation, as he calls it, at something called Gleeds Consulting. It was our Mr. Jain who first introduced me to a senior colleague of his, of Tanmoy Sinha's, maybe a year ago, and nearly every month we have been trying to see how we can get somebody from Gleeds to speak, and eventually and finally it has happened today. Gleeds Consulting itself is a project and cost management kind of a consulting firm, but they do a great deal of research. Every month they put out something or the other on some aspect of the construction sector, which could be of use for anybody who is related to the building industry or the construction sector. He's been into the digital business for nearly 20 years, he says, and his experience in IT, data analytics, engineering design are all part of what he will speak about today. And today we are looking to hear from him. Most of you are students of engineering or of architecture, and of course you as faculty, you should look at learning from him what are those key drivers which influence a building's carbon footprint. How do you explore those digital tools, and he will speak about some of them, which are being used in industry. I will leave this there for you all to, I said that in order to see that you anticipate the wonderful 30 to 40 minutes of a presentation that he will make. Payal, since this is the first day of the Mahotsav, can I request you to speak on what the Mahotsav has signified the last 4 years now, and what we expect as the number of events across the country this week?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. This is our inaugural session for the 6th Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav. This is our 6th edition. I remember when we started the first year, we were hoping to have a few events related to sustainability, in different pockets. Over the past 6 years, thanks to everybody who's part of PGMT, Jain ji is here, Dr. Hariharan is here, and many others who are responsible for bringing us here. It has grown to a point where I think it's really running away from us. We've got close to 80 events already planned across the week. And that includes panel discussions, it includes walkathons, it includes, we're also doing a lot of sustainable challenges with students. So we've got 10 or 12 different colleges participating in different challenges. So somebody is doing installation of waste materials. Somebody is doing photography, green photography. Somebody is doing art. Somebody is actually doing upcycling of things which they already own, and they are repurposing them into something else. There's tree plantations. There's a lot of discussions on energy, on saving water, on climate change. So this is a whole week of events happening, and really it has become a green Mahotsav, a Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav, which we coined it 6 years ago. That's truly what it is today. So I want to welcome everybody here for participating in this, and looking forward to a wonderful session. Thank you, Tanmoy, for being here. Thank you, Jain ji, for facilitating this. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Jain, thank you first for being here today. Thank you for persisting with me on how we should invite somebody from Gleeds Consulting for nearly the last, say, 20 months or 24 months. I would request you to see that you speak a little on what triggered that thought in you as to why we should have Gleeds with all its research prowess and capability to be part of this session. Over to you. And of course, you would want to speak about this rare and distinguished compliment upon Dr. Jain.
Good afternoon, everybody. Payal, Tanmoy, Professor Gaurav, and my dearest and friend and colleague, Hariharan. See, incidents and coincidence or happenings, they're all destined. Today, we start the 6th session of the PJMT in memory of our leader, our mentor, Dr. P.C. Jain. He was a very religious man. He was all for India, all for Panch Bhutras. He said, that's the land of religion, that's the land of... And today, with the installation of the Ram Bhumi, the idol of Lord Ram, we are beginning the 6th PJMT. So it's just not coincidence and incidents. These are things which are destined to happen. And likewise, in our lives, for Hariharan, for me, even for a lot of our fraternity, we were destined to meet Dr. P.C. Jain. I met him 25 years back. Believe me, I was a spoiled nut who'd never put off an electricity, who would just leave the water running. My 5 would complain. And there he turned my life. That's the person he was. And he has knotted us into such a group that we are so very vulnerable to each other and to the message that Dr. Jain has unleashed upon us. I'm very fortunate that I see him on my office table every day with the PGMT calendar, and I begin my work with this. I mean, he is, wo hamara guru hai, aur is desh ke andar, in our country, it's the guru that leads always. Tanmoy, I met again through IGBC and through the good wishes of Dr. Jain. Gleeds, we welcomed them in Jaipur. And the entire board of Gleeds had come, including your chairman and including people from Nottingham. And we also tied up the city of Jaipur to the city of Nottingham. Of course, Nottingham is a very notorious city with lots of underground robberies and whatnot. But that's what we did. It was a very fine program. And we lasted that partnership about 3 years, and there was a lot of exchanges. That's how I met Jyoti Gandhi. And we came up to be very close. And then Jyoti and my firm, we also participated in a conference in Jaipur, the Municipalica. We jointly did that. So IGBC had one stall, and Gleeds, and we had the other stall. I've seen the great work, the amount of literature that comes in, the amount of cost analysis factors that come in, and the amount of how the economy is going and what the future is going to be for the construction industry. He's doing a wonderful job. And I have a couple of projects coming, and Jyoti and I have talked, and we are dependent upon the next big project we do. We're just going to give it to Gleeds to handle it for us. I'm going to withdraw my people, and you're just going to take it over. So that's how we begin now. Every word, every ode to Dr. Jain is a weight of gold. Believe me, that man, he's left such an imprint 6 years down the line. There he is, our guru that I see every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jain. Right. Okay, he mentioned Nottingham.
Yeah. That's what Gleeds, their chairman, is from.
Yeah, the connect with Nottingham is also that of Robin Hood. That, when he was 15-year-old, he sets out to Nottingham to dine and drink beer and ale and wine with the general of Nottingham.
True.
He goes with 15 of the king's foresters. That's part of the story of the legend and the lore.
Read that in school.
Absolutely. So, well, it's 3:10. I think it's time for us to invite Professor Gaurav. Professor Gaurav, can you turn on your video, please? Don't mind.
I'll just excuse myself for 10 minutes.
There you are. Thank you. Please do that. You must attend the inaugural and come back. Yes. And so, Gaurav, first, welcome to you for this distinguished session of the lecture series. And second, as you heard, Mr. Jain Oberoi, what do you think you would expect for your students and for your college and institution from what Tanmoy Sinha is all set to present on tools and sustainability and how graduates can be equipped to take the future on? Over to you. You have to unmute.
First of all, very good afternoon to all of you. It's a better opportunity. I think it is, but we have a good opportunity to attend this session. And get the knowledge about the sustainability. Our students are uh, very interested to know about the uh, what is the principles, what is the methods we can apply on our construction methodology to uh, make it sustainable. And uh, and uh, uh, actually I have uh, uh, my students are very interested to know about the sustainable development of uh, about the construction.
How many students do you have in your college?
Sir, actually we have 120 students in college, but
Per batch, per year.
time,
Therefore, total
this
must be
time, this
600 or
time is
so.
exam time. This time is exam time, sir,
Correct.
and that's why the strength is somehow what
Sure.
less.
Sure. What are the disciplines that you offer at the?
So we have civil engineering, mechanical engineering, computer science engineering, and electrical electronics engineering.
Good. Uh, Fair enough. A lot of you who are here as students, you have heard Gaurav sir speak, and I'm sure you will look forward to listening to Tanmoy sir, and then to put out your questions. You can write it either on the Q&A box or on the chat box. Does not matter where you write. And Tanmoy sir will hope to respond to that after he has presented. I must also acknowledge the presence of people like Mr. B.K. Prasad, who is chairman for the Bangalore chapter of the Indian Plumbing Association. We have with us Professor Gunjan Kumar from a very distinguished college of engineering and management in Kolkata. He's also a very significant member of the Prem Jain Memorial Trust. He represents the Prem PJMT East for us. We have Professor Sarla Shanti from a college in Kolar near Bangalore. There are many such others who are present here. I'm just acknowledging a few of them. Well, now it's 3:13, Tanmoy Sinha. Over to you, and you take whatever you think is convenient for you. You can share your screen if you have a presentation deck.
Well, thank you once again to everyone. I'll just quickly share the screen.
Yes. Yes.
Just give me a thumbs up if you can see it.
Yeah, you're on. Yeah, we can see it. Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So, considering that we have a sort of audience comprising of engineers, architects, and from different faculties, I think it's a good time for fresh graduates to get an understanding of this subject. It is something which is going to impact every aspect of our life, whether it is construction or it is any other aspect of society. It's going to have this view of what is sustainability and what is the impact that our actions are causing on the planet. So with that sort of broad perspective, let me get into this topic, which is digital tools for green construction. And I have tried to just simplify the topic and keep it to a very high level. If you have specific questions, we can always look at it in the Q&A section. So the key takeaways that I would like you to have from today's session, three topics. What is the impact of construction industry on the environment? Right? You must walk away from this presentation with a clear sort of picture of what impact we are causing as part of the construction industry. The second is, what is the principle of green construction? When we have a sort of a desire to be green in construction, what does it really mean? And what is the principles, or what is the practice? What is the direction we need to take? And the third aspect is, what are the practical tools that one can use as designers, as architects, as contractors, as anyone connected to a built asset, what are some of the tools that are relevant today that you can actually use to make that change. All right, so this is a figure which you should all take away from this presentation, that 39% of global carbon dioxide emissions, they are attributed to the built environment. It is a significant portion, so you can imagine that we are contributing close to 40% of the entire carbon emissions, carbon dioxide emissions in the world. So naturally, the onus of making a reduction is also there on the construction industry in the same proportion. All right. So now let us see further in detail. How does this 39% come about? What are the components of that? And also, what are some of the other impacts that are caused as a result of this industry? So you can very well imagine the field consumes enormous amounts of natural resources. So vital reserves like sand, gravel, limestones, etc., they are being consumed at an alarming rate. And as a result, those natural ecosystems are getting disrupted. And when the disruption is extensive, it can lead to desertification, which may not be reversible. Okay, and air and water pollution is also side effects or byproducts of this industry. The activity of construction itself generates significant amount of air and water pollution. The activity of producing the raw materials such as steel and cement and so on, glass, aluminium, copper, and so on, also releases pollutants in the air, in the water, in the soil. And as a result, it causes health problems for all types of living beings. So respiratory problems, waterborne diseases, and it also affects climate change. And another aspect is waste generation. 1/3 of the world's solid waste is directly generated by the construction industry. And this waste, which is called construction and demolition waste, it doesn't have much reuse. So what happens is it ends up in landfills. And once it is dumped in the landfill, not only it takes up valuable space, which could otherwise be used for growing trees or for natural vegetation or for any other purpose, but it also releases harmful toxins in the air and in the water and in the soil and so on. Okay. So now looking at that 39%, when we say 39% of global carbon emissions are attributed to construction industry, we can break it up into two major components. The first component we call as embodied carbon, and this refers to the carbon footprint caused by the use of materials in construction. So the greenhouse gases which are emitted throughout the life cycle of any building material, right from its primary extraction through all the various stages where we take the raw material and process it, produce a finished product, and then transport it to the end user, and finally use it in the construction of the building. At every stage, there is a carbon footprint. So the cumulative effect of producing any material is called the embodied carbon of that material. And typically, what we have seen in any conventional construction, concrete, steel, glass, aluminium, copper, insulation materials. These are some of the materials which contribute the most towards embodied carbon. And out of the overall 39% global emissions, about 11% has been attributed to the materials per se. Right now, the remaining 28% comes from the other aspect of carbon, which is the operational side of carbon. And this refers to all the greenhouse gas emission attributed to the use of buildings. So throughout its operational life, as occupants use that building, they consume many resources. We consume electricity, we consume water, maybe gas, for all the functions, all the services in the building. You have elevators, you have lighting, you have heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and so on. So all these activities throughout the life of the building, they consume energy, they consume resources, and so on. And that contributes to about 28% of global emissions. So you can see that these are naturally the targets for going green. So if you want to reduce the carbon footprint, you need to tackle embodied carbon, and you also need to tackle operational carbon. Okay, so what is that ideal? What is green construction? So green construction is a broad term, and it generally refers to the philosophy and practices that we use to create and use buildings as environmentally friendly and resource efficiently as possible. And it is not one single solution, but it's more of an approach. It's a holistic approach where we don't try to do local optimization. Rather, we look at a system view, we look at a holistic approach, and try and find areas where we can have the largest possible impact on reducing the carbon footprint. Okay, so some of the you can say examples or some of the principles of green construction. It would be to reduce resource consumption, make it more efficient. So any kind of resource that you use, whether it's electricity or water or any other energy and so on, we try to minimize its use by reducing the waste, improving the efficiency, optimizing the design, and so on. We try to minimize pollution. We try to measure and then reduce the harmful impact at every stage of the building's life. We closely monitor the impact of the building on the occupants themselves. So right from your air quality to lighting conditions, water quality, and so on. Every aspect, how does it affect the occupants? We want to create healthy and comfortable spaces, while at the same time trying to reduce the consumption of materials. All right. Also, we want to move away from this use and throw or single use approach, and try to create infrastructure or assets which have longer life, which are more durable. So that reduces the cost, or rather the environmental impact of replacement, and the need to build new buildings all the time. Also, we know very well that climate change is real. We are seeing the effects every year. So the design of buildings need to be adaptable. They need to be flexible and resilient to change as per the changing circumstances. So these are some of the high-level principles. Okay, I want to leave you with this this idea of whole life cycle of a built asset. So, whether we are talking of optimizing the carbon footprint or we talk of optimizing the cost, um, we need to stretch our understanding or our approach or our sort of view to the whole life of a built asset, not just to the operations phase or just for the construction phase. What that means is when we start out at the concept stage, we have to visualize the life of that built asset through all its stages: concept, design, construction, the operation, and also the end of life. So there are numerous examples of, for example, the Olympics village that was constructed in London. Then some of the football stadiums that were constructed in Doha for the FIFA World Cup. These infrastructure were built keeping in mind the end of life. So when the utility is over for one particular event, how can that infrastructure be efficiently dismantled and reused, maybe for the same purpose at another location or for some totally different purpose itself, right? So we don't try to optimize just for one stage of life, but we try to look for a global optima across the entire life cycle. Okay, and I've highlighted here that the design phase, that is where there is maximum potential to actually improve the carbon footprint of the building. Because once you have made certain design choices, some decisions, and you proceed further with the construction, with the occupation, then it becomes increasingly difficult to go back, change some of those systems. And if you realize at a later date that it is not as energy efficient as you would like, it is more difficult to change once you're down the road. But at the design stage, it is far easier because you're still on paper and you can evaluate options, you can test scenarios, you can simulate, you can test different alternatives, and so on. So now looking at this, you will also get a sense that if the impact is maximum during the design phase, then the need for the tools are also felt more at the design stage in order to help you achieve that optimization, in order to help you reduce or reach a certain target in terms of footprint. Right. So moving further, we have seen what is the overall impact of construction industry on the environment. Then we looked at how the impact is kind of broken down into two areas: the embodied carbon, which is all the materials, and the operational carbon, which is all your energy and resource consumption during the life of the asset. We looked at some of the different approaches, how we can optimize and reduce and so on. And then we looked at this whole life cycle of the building, where we saw that the design stage is where the major impact can be created on the carbon. So now what we're looking at is, one of those digital technologies, which is very foundational. It is fundamental to, other tools that come on later. And that technology is called BIM, B-I-M-M, or Building Information Management and Modeling. This is a technology, or it's a sort of it's an approach which it is used not only by architects, but also structural engineers, also interior designers, also contractors, project managers, cost managers, owners, operators, health and safety. So it is every stakeholder who is associated with a built environment can plug into this technology, can make use of it, because it allows you to store information about your built asset in connection with the geometrical model of it. Okay, so there are just some screenshots I would like to share here. Different use cases, how building information modeling can be used to do simulation. So on the left hand side, for example, the top left is an example of simulating airflow. It could be simulating heat flow. You could simulate, for example, the spread of wireless signals and so on. And through these simulations, you can find optimal design approaches. You can reduce the amount of material that is being consumed. You can improve the functionality and so on. Right? So BIM allows you to create such kind of models and run various types of simulations with them. Okay, the second example on the top right is where you have integrated BIM models of your building. The architect, the structural engineer, the MEP engineers, and various other people associated with that project can create a collaborative and integrated model, and they can simultaneously understand what are the clashes. So if there are any pipes, any routing which is obstructing some other aspect of the building, that can be easily visualized, and these kind of issues can be resolved in the design phase itself. If you do not do that, very often these kind of problems are discovered by accident during construction, and by then it is too late, and you need to make course correction on the spot, which is often costly and suboptimal. So by the use of BIM, by the use of this kind of clash detection, you actually make better quality designs which can be implemented on the first go, thereby saving time, saving resources, and saving cost. All right, at the bottom, on the left and on the right, there are again different use cases how you can simulate the flow of wind. You can simulate the sunlight and use that information to better design your buildings, so that you can reduce your lighting load, your ventilation and heating and cooling and so on, right? Rather than go against nature, you actually make use of the natural light, the natural ventilation that is available to you. Okay. Another digital technology that is becoming more prevalent, more useful in the construction sector is artificial intelligence and machine learning. So you can imagine when a designer is trying to converge on a certain design idea or an approach, he has to evaluate many different scenarios. He has options of thousands of material choices, many different methodologies and so on. And with the help of artificial intelligence and machine learning, designers can actually improve on their previous designs and iterate through many more options than they could do if they had to do every option manually, right? So this becomes a tool to evaluate thousands of options and make optimal selection of materials or design choices and so on. And once you have built up that kind of database, you can also predict by changing some cost drivers or by changing some specifications, what will be the impact. It can help you predict that as well. All right. Also, AI-powered robots and drones are now being introduced on the construction side to automate or to support the construction activities, especially where there is safety or some consideration of quality, and that is helping again to reduce your rework, reduce your cost and wastage and errors, which ultimately reduces the duration of the project and increases the efficiency. Drones and robotics. So drones are actually being used extensively now in construction at the early stages, especially when you want to survey the site or you want to map it out, you want to monitor the progress of construction and so on. So this is also it's a use of digital technologies to create 3D models based on drone capture. Okay, robotics, as I mentioned previously, they are used for repetitive tasks where safety and quality is critical. All right. Also, as I mentioned earlier, construction is an activity which involves many different stakeholders, and digital technology is extremely good at enabling collaboration, enabling real-time collaboration, enabling data sharing, and cloud-based platforms are becoming extremely popular and vital to efficiency and improving the project management overall. So it's very easy now for people who are in remote locations with different skill sets, without having to visit the site, they can share information, they can share updates in real time. All right. BIM viewers and virtual reality tools. These are again related to BIM technology, where you have a means of visualizing your 3D models in an immersive environment. So you can use those virtual reality goggles, and through that you can explore your building in a much more immersive sense. So rather than looking at 2D flat drawings or a 3D model on the screen, you can immerse yourself and feel that you are actually on site in a virtual representation of that building. So you can actually see a digital twin, you can experience a digital twin, and that helps you take better decisions, faster decisions, and reduce errors and mistakes and so on. All right. Also, digital tools will enable marketplaces, e-commerce platforms, where you can source sustainable products and green building materials. All right. So these are some of the variety of digital tools, how it is helping at different stages of construction to quantify the carbon, to reduce the carbon for all the stakeholders involved. Right. With that, I would like to close my presentation and open it up for any questions.
Sure. Thank you, Tanmoy. Two questions, I'm sure, which will be something that they will also want to ask students and teachers.
Sure.
One, if I'm, say, a 7th semester or 8th semester student of engineering, or a 9th and 10th of architecture, since it's 5 years, what are those programs that I can take as a student to equip myself and come back to leaders like Tanmoy Sinha and say, sir, I have learned this many things as part of some course and curriculum, beyond the college, that is, if there are such programs, and that please, now you give me a job. If I were to ask you such a question, what would be your response as a student, if I'm a student?
So I would say the foundation is ultimately, having an understanding of of the concept of embodied carbon, of operational carbon, being able to um, quantify what is carbon footprint, first of all.
What are
So,
programs that I can take to equip myself in my last and final year at college?
so I have myself attended couple of programs which are offered um, by companies like One Click LCA.
Okay, you can
Okay,
put
so
it in
they
the chat
conduct
box,
something
please.
called a summer school. So these are online seminars over a period of maybe 2 to 3 weeks,
Okay.
offered by companies like One Click LCA.
Okay. One click LCA. Maybe you can put that on the chat box for them to copy and explore. Any other thoughts on this? Supposing I've completed such programs
Right.
and then I apply to your company, will you give me a job?
Right. So typically, it is for the designers. It is for the designers who are working on various client projects to, first of all, educate their clients. And when there is a mandate from the clients that we need to achieve a certain level of carbon or certain target, that's when the designers kind of look for alternatives. They look for options. They need solutions. They need to evaluate different scenarios and so on.
Got it.
So I would say that it is the designers who any design. It could be a structural, it could be a MEP, it could be architect. Any kind of designer is really the person who influences this the most.
Correct. For both faculty leaders who are present here and especially for students, let me also add one more thing. If you had listened to the previous speaker of last month in the same series, Mr. Girish, you would have heard that no more than 3% of all concrete that is used in India is used in such large buildings of the building sector, including roads and highways, he says. And he is today the chairperson of the Indian Concrete Institute, and he should know. He says over 90%, therefore, of the concrete used in India is in all these small buildings, your house that your father built, or many other small things that are happening across the country in taluks and tehsils and such places. Therefore, now the question to Tanmoy sir that I will ask on behalf of all of you. Let us say I, as a student, my father is an architect or an engineer in practice. He has asked me to see that I design some building which has, let us say, a floor plate of only 2,000 square feet, and he wants me to give him a design for 4 floors at approximately, therefore, 10,000 square feet. What of these things can such a small building employ?
Right. Yeah, I would say that conventional design, where you have a high content of concrete and steel, right? You need to look at alternatives for that. So that's where all your embodied carbon is sitting primarily. So if you can look at different approaches, how you can make a 4-story structure, as you're saying, without extensive concrete and extensive steel, that is where you will make the biggest impact. You don't need to focus on every single aspect of the building. It is primarily just the structure.
Can you give me some example of materials that I can use if I'm building, say, in Jaunpur or Guna or in Jumri Talaya? What would I do?
So I don't have, I mean, I'm myself not an architect or a designer. So I cannot propose or suggest specific design
by the way,
solutions.
90% of drawings are done by consulting civil engineers, not architects. Architects do less than 6-7% of all drawings across for buildings,
Yes.
as you know.
Yes. Yes. So we'll have to explore from the field. I don't have an answer. I really don't know.
I got that.
What are the alternative solutions?
Fair enough. Because, yes, Professor Gunjan Kumar has raised. Namaskar, Gunjan. You would want, please speak. Well, we will have to add you into the speaker list. Yatin, are you there? Can you say hello? Yatin?
Sir, I'm here.
Yeah. Can you now invite, make him a speaker, our Professor Gunjan?
Right, sir.
And
Okay.
also give me host rights so that I can invite some people properly.
Okay. Let me do it, sir.
First invite them. Gunjan, you will get audio rights just now. In the meantime, let's ask Mr. Oberoi to speak. Your take, anything that you want to say? Yes, please. Thank you for returning.
Well, I've just joined in some time back,
Yes, yes.
and whatever Tanmay said, I think what was very important was the 5 or the 4 cycle lives of the building. And it's really true that how he's gone about right from the design, concept, maintenance, construction, maintenance, and the end life. It will certainly lead to decarbonization effects, progress them. That's what we have to take into mind. Secondly, I would say that whereas he says that some particular percentage, 33% goes to the construction based, we as builders, we as IGBC, we as CII have to think in these terms. This is a very, very important aspect. Of course, when we took up this matter with the CII, they said maybe they'll, fix some timings, fix some this, fix some days, when no construction activity. But they said it will come up with very heavy, very severe anti-labor protests. So it was in fact taken back at that time. But then we have to think of something of this.
Correct.
Construction does account for a lot of waste, and now it also account of waste and also a lot of public nuisance. You get my point? So there has to be some marriage between these 3 aspects.
Correct. Very, very well said. 3 points you have raised, and I'm sure, let's see if others will want. Tanmay, maybe you want to respond later, but now I will invite Gunjan to speak. Gunjan, one more thing I'd like you to remember. You have been a very responsible and inspiring teacher yourself. The big concern I've had the last, say, 2-3 years is this. One, that all these big construction projects with which people like Tanmoy Sinha and many others are involved as consulting professionals do not use any more than 3% of concrete. Shocking for me, that was. Second is that all the urban wastewater that we use, entire urban water demand, shall we say, across 7,000 towns and cities, all of you students are listening to this, across 7,000 towns and cities, total urban water demand is only 7% in India of the total annual renewable water that India receives. So what happens to the other 93%? Statistics will show you, if you went to a website, about 11 to 12% is industrial wastewater, paper mills, steel mills, power sector, etc. The other, that means 12, 7, 19%, say 20%, the other 80% is agricultural water. And nobody works on agriculture and sustainable cultivation.
True, absolutely.
Yes. Gunjan, keep these 2 points in mind. You know what Mr. Oberoi said. Over to you now, Gunjan.
Okay, is I'm audible enough, sir?
Yes, please. Yes, please. You can turn on your video also if you are capable of it.
Okay.
Nice.
Fine,
Thank you.
fine. So thank you very first. I really first want to appreciate all of you and also Tanmay sir for a wonderful talk. Just before putting my question, in fact, I want to ask a question to get my own insight. But before that, I just want to add, as a teacher, as a professor, the 2 questions that you have asked, in fact, pointed to the Tanmay sir. Very first, what one student of 7th or 8th semester can take so that they are very much eligible for a job market. So that was the first that you have pointed. I have a few suggestions. Of course, that cannot be a single, I can say, the solutions. Nobody will give you. But 2 solutions, 2 things I want to advise all our dear students who are the audience as on time. You can do, of course, even this is from the practical experience as I have learned, because my team of 2nd and 3rd year participating in Solar Decathlon India competition, they got opportunity to participate in the site that was the collaboration of the BIM platform, and they have done the simulation, a structural simulation. So there is a scope as mentioned by Tanmay sir. So you have some student, I can say the instance version, such kind of software, you can use it. That is the one. Second is also the design builder. Again, 30 days option is there. You can take it and model your complete structure in order to learn the base case energy consumption of the buildings. These two software you can try. Now, few software you people are trying at your college level, but what is happening? Just knowing the command will not help you. Like AutoCAD. Even today, when the student goes to the market, they are very much saying, and their teacher and institute is claiming a student is knowing the AutoCAD, but believe on me, when you go for a real life, you are unable to deliver even a small project. So that you do, I'm appreciating your institute, but at the same time, I will request you take a project on AutoCAD and deliver that project small. I can say the single family house or four-story building. That is the one you can take. Second, you can take also if you've gone, today is the world of 3D, digital and all. You can approach the Revit. Revit again, Autotext, you will get this software. So Autodesk is one solution. Revit you can try and you can do the 3D modeling, and that this Revit has some interface with the BIM like a SAP software also that you can also try. So these two things I will suggest. First, AutoCAD you are used to, try to have a good experience in first and second year itself. Third and fourth year, you go for a Revit and then figure out some open source collaborating software like I have mentioned you the site and the design builder. And also, if you are good in the energy simulation part, you can also, that is the open source, Equest is a open software that you can try to understand the energy part of any construction projects. These 5 software I will recommend as a teacher to go, and I'm sure with this, you are very much capable to get the job in this market. This is the first answer. Second, I think sir has one point was also asked as regarding the what a student can do. Of course, that second question I'm just missing it. But let me now put my question here to Tanmoy sir. Sir, actually, you have given one data that is coming from the emission gap report. 39% is coming from overall emission, and out of that, 11% you mentioned from the embodied carbon. I'm totally agree with the statement that you have given, and I can understand the figures also. But my question here is, this is the overall emission gap report. What is the India report? Is there any figures available from where I will get that out of our construction industry, or is 39%? If embodied carbon is considered 11%, what is the India actual figures? Is there any source from where I can drag this data or information? That will be a great insight to me.
Sure.
Thank you.
I can share with you some of the references offline, what we are referring for India.
Sure.
Wonderful.
Sure,
I'll connect the two of
Thank
you.
you, sir. And sir, I got one question, sir. Just I'm cutting, sir, here.
Yes, please.
As Hariharan sir mentioned to Tanmoy sir, and that how we can reduce this concrete that is used in the buildings, as you also pointed to me. The simple what I learned from these few documents placed by Esri and others, the very one we can do is we can improve the recycled content of a used in the concrete. There is so many demolished building is there, having a life as 80 years or 60 years. If we can utilize even a part portion in the local construction, that will help to reduce this virgin concrete that we are using the first place. By that, I think this may be the first step to reduce not only embodied carbon, but also the overall, the first virgin concrete materials in the construction. That may be one way out.
Sure. My response, Gunjan, my challenge, let us say, and I don't have an answer. You are sitting in Bengal. Let's say in Nadia district, somebody is building, and they were building, let us say, like I said, some 2,500 square feet or 2,000 square feet to a floor, and they want to build, say, 4 floors. How do we help them? It's all very well for us to speak of large projects. For example, if you say concrete and efficient forms, GGBS, slag, all that is being used today. But that is used in the larger RMC kind of plants. In the district level, who is helping me with all of that? And if I do manual concrete, where am I going to find GGBS or slag? That is the problem. So many of these discussions, I find, is addressing only 5% of the larger India challenge. Professor Gaurav, before I invite Tanmoy Sinha to again speak, will you want to say something, Gaurav, on what you have heard from Professor Gunjan, from Tanmoy Sinha, and then of course Mr. Oberoi on the 3 points that he raised. Over to you. Professor Gaurav. Gaurav, are you there? Okay, then I'll ask BK Prasad. BK Prasad is the president, as I said, of the Indian Plumbing Association. He sits in Bangalore. There you are. Gaurav, you want to speak now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank Tanmay sir, and we, our students, are learned very much about the artificial intelligence, BIM technology, and thanks to Gunjan sir, they have tell us about the software like AutoCAD and Revit. This session was very informative for our students.
Yeah, he
And sir,
mentioned
I want to
Design
ask
Builder,
one
he
question.
mentioned Equus. These are all open source software, he says, Gaurav. Yes.
Yes, yes. So I want to ask one question that where from where our students can learn this technology, and how much is its cost?
Uh,
So, are you referring to the 3D modeling BIM technology?
Yes, yes, sir. BIM technology and artificial intelligence.
Okay. So BIM is a technology which is used for creating 3D models of buildings and embodying information about the building. There is not just one software. Revit is a software produced by Autodesk, and it is a proprietary software. I would say it is one of the costly ones, but there are open source softwares as well which use the same protocol, the same BIM platform, the same the same format. So I will share some links of open source BIM software which is free. You can download it and you can learn it. So you'll have to spend time learning those software tools online, where you'll find online tutorials and so on. So there is no inherent cost in learning about BIM.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sure.
yeah. BK Prasad, do you want to add anything?
Well, very good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What my take on the water, the efficiency, what you were talking about, 80% is going to the agriculture.
Anji?
We are struggling only to what you call control the usage of 3% of water with the buildings, right?
7%, yes.
7%. Okay. Why don't we impress on the government to go for, like efficient agricultural system where the water consumption can be reduced? They're already doing it in most of the states, but instead of flood irrigation, if they change over to other types of irrigation and the crop changes, we can have comfortably, the usage of water for the buildings. Isn't it?
Correct. Mr. Oberoi has been working extensively with the Rajasthan state government. Many of the ministers in the previous regime of the BJP and now of the Congress are schoolmates of his. So Mr. Oberoi understands how the government thinks to an extent. Can you respond to his question, Jain? Can I request you to? Jain Oberoi?
Sorry, could the question could
Correct.
point? I just gone to the toilet at that time.
No problem. No, BK Prasad, who is IPA president Bangalore or IPA chairman, he's saying this matter of 3% concrete being used by big projects, 97% going into smaller projects across India or the state. Second one, only 7% urban wastewater, rest of it is 80% is agricultural. Why are we not doing some? He says take up with the government. How does it help taking up with the government? Do you think anything can be achieved at all?
See, as far as 80% consumption of water by agriculture, that's undisputable. I don't think if this can be taken up at all with the government. The only thing that can be taken up is to make them aware with IGBC, with CII, with other trade bodies, holding a very strong hand, and it will be hammering like it was when we began IGBC. No one thought that we'd reach a 10 billion So that's the only way, because what happens is that agriculture, no one is going to touch. I mean, even the Prime Minister could not touch it for 2 years, right? The Honorable Prime Minister. And as far as the other state governments are concerned, I really wonder if they're going to do anything as far as the electoral. And in India, it's just not the national general election, but after every 1 or 2 months, we have some election. After every 7 months, we have an election. So, until we, if at all, ever, we have that all the elections at one time, which may or may not happen, then maybe you might get a span of about 3 years, because the last year is always there for appeasing people. You get into formulation in the first 6 months, make your agenda. And like, for instance, we had made our agenda when the new government is coming. But it took the government 1.5 months to formulate, and now we are pushing it, but we are pushing it at CII because our agenda. Likewise, this agenda should be made ready, and we should push it at the right time. Every state government different, It's just the state chairmen or the IPH chairman in Bangalore, Karnataka. That's our chairman here, our CII here, RGBC. That's the only way to take it forward. But let's not expect that the government is going. We have to hammer it. They're not. They're going to appease farmers, votes.
That's
very difficult. Very difficult.
Any of you students want to speak up, please raise hands, because we want to listen to you. Your views are very, very critical. This whole series is only for you. Any student who wants to say something, ask something, please raise hands, and we will enable the audio. Over to you, Tanmoy, to respond to what both Mr. B.K. Prasad and Mr. Oberoi said from an industry perspective.
Well, on the water side, I don't want to comment on agriculture, but there is opportunity to reduce waste in building environment in the sort of residential and commercial and industrial areas. So I would encourage that all the MEP engineers, the designers, they look at efficiency as a key design parameter when they are sizing their solution. And now we have digital solutions which allow you to monitor in real time what is your consumption. So IoT, that is essentially digital sensors, can relay real-time consumption data about any of your resources, electricity, water, gas, whatever it is. And whatever is your sort of expected consumption, you can at least track what is going on against that. So I would say, we need to encourage more use of these kind of digital technologies to monitor what's going on.
Fair enough. Anyone else who wants to respond? Gunjan, do you have anything to add to what so far has transpired? Or Gaurav also? From the context of students.
Sir, I will add here also, as mentioned by Gaurav sir, that how a student can learn. I'm not here doing any advocacy of any event. That I want to make it very clear to all. But what I personally feel that, this Solar Decathlon India, the challenge that was emerged from the concept coming from the Energy Science Department of US, and then later on it has gone across the globe. And right now, last 4 episode Solar Decathlon India has done, where, at least what I personally feel, the ecosystem is important. And in that ecosystem, you are taking a real life project, then your industry person is there. In fact, earlier I was lucky, my team was mentored by Hariharan sir only, where, there's a change segment, there's an energy segment, there's a water segment, there's the architectural segment, there's a civil segment, there's a cost segment, there's an innovation segment. Means there's enough scope to play. And then good parties, they are giving 2 software, as mentioned by Gaurav sir, that where I can learn. Please note, this platform, if you are registered, will register it as a competition. It registered cost only 6,000 as a 15-member team. So individually 5,000, you can say 5,000 more or less than that. But what is good part is that they have the tools, that is a design builder, as a free of cost license 1 year. Annually, monthly, it is getting updated, but it is a 1 year almost. And there's a trainer coming from the PC Thomas. you may refer PC Thomas, known for a design builder trainer from Australia. And he's coming also, there is so many trainers from India. They will train your student. Just to be a part of this competition, I think you have a wonderful opportunity to get trained your student on this this platform, and later on a student will apply this knowledge and make a submission in the Solo Decathlon India. And believe on me, last 3 years my student team has participated, and they are right now adding a lot of value to this construction industry. My 6th student has gone for this industry, and they're doing a wonderful and handling a big project as on time. So that is what one way out I just want to convey to everybody. And then I also want to thank like Hariharan sir and all the mentors that right now mentioned here. They are blessing only listening to them itself is the biggest tool I can say. Sometimes we always look for a tool and cost, but I think big motivation too is that Hariharan sir, Gaurav sir, Tanmoy sir, all these people itself is a chapter or tool. Please listen whatever time of opportunity you are finding. You will find some solution in their answer itself.
True, very true. Gaurav, I'll do one thing. I will introduce you to Gunjan as part of our enabling effort from PJMT, so that his experience, and he is a very hands-on person who Professor Gunjan is. So Gaurav, you can connect with him, see how you can learn some of those things on open source software, etc. Of course, people like Tanmoy sir can be reached out to, no problem. He will always be happy to help students, all of you students. Maybe Tanmoy Sinha can put up your mail ID there in the chat box. Any of you, don't think he's a very senior person, he's director of the company, so he will not respond. No. If you as a student write to him, trust me on this, he will be patient enough to respond to you. Any student who wants to raise his hands, anything that you want to say, any of you here? Maybe Gaurav, Gaurav sir, you can ask your students to see if they want to respond. Any of them, because that will give us a window. Even Tanmoy sir will know what they are saying, and it will help him. Gaurav?
Any students who want to ask can ask.
Yes, please. We'll give them 1 minute if they want to raise hands. Maybe while they do that, we are already done. We have about 6 minutes only left. Any last thoughts for students, Tanmoy Sinha?
Yeah, I would encourage students to look at hackathons also. I am aware of hackathons which are conducted hackathons in UK. Gleeds is a big sponsor of hackathon for construction sector, and it is a 2-day event where teams come together and work on a variety of solutions for construction. And of course, it covers sustainability, it covers all aspects of construction.
Yeah.
So maybe an idea could be that some of your institutions, your partner institutions can collaborate. We can also be, as from Gleeds, we can also be participants of that kind of a hackathon. And, we can, guide or mentor or evaluate some of these solutions and give feedback. And that 2-day experience, it's a practical thing that students can go through and really explore one topic.
Wonderful.
And learn something out of it. So,
can I then say that from PJMT, we will pick a few. We have 2 people here today as leaders, Gunjan and Gaurav, who are both, very committed teachers, obviously. Gunjan, I know for a long time. Can I ask them to connect with you and get a few more of such institutions at the head, some faculty leaders like these 2 gentlemen, in a way that you can facilitate and mentor that process of construction hackathons for them? Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. We will be happy to be part.
Wonderful. Yatin, are you there? Can you say hello? Yatin? Okay, I'll take it up with him and come back to you. Okay, last 3-4 minutes.
Yes, sir, I'm here. Yeah.
Yes, so you heard what Tanmoy sir said. Let's take that up and see what we can do.
Right. Okay, sir.
Anybody else? Any last thoughts so that we can close after that? Yeah. Any last thoughts, please?
Well, I would just I would. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir. You are audible. Yes, please.
The relevance of not wasting water, of taking it up with the state government and of finding a way out as far as the
Correct.
agriculture is concerned are very, very important aspects. Let's really look into them.
Thank you.
Likewise, the end of the building. Tanmoy, you are a very, very important point in that. This life cycle of the building should be enforced in practically all curriculums, engineering bodies, various schools. That's my last one.
Yeah, good point. More importantly, how do we do that for smaller buildings of say 5 to 10,000 square feet across districts? You see, what is happening is, I mean, do I blame anybody? If I'm an engineering graduate from any of the colleges, I am oriented, trained to look at only large companies, large buildings. I am not looking at this whole 95% section of people who are building small buildings. That has to change somewhere. Gunjan, any ideas on that? Because you're so hugely committed to working with students. See, we are forgetting that this segment of the organized sector is very, very small. Tanmoy, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I would like to say from a, from the digital point of view,
Correct.
Wherever there is a demand and a supply, we can bring a sort of a digital platform to connect or to aggregate the demand and aggregate the supply. So that can be a means of identifying, who are the producers of the construction and demolition waste, and who are the buyers, those who require such material at different point of time in different localities, maybe district wise or locality wise, whatever it is.
Correct.
That can be a simple means of just making that information visible. So once the visibility is there, it automatically creates opportunities. It creates a market where transactions can actually happen. So this is one of the ideas which we have been sort of talking about internally. In fact, in our team we have a PhD on construction and demolition waste, who's sort of tasked with this idea. So hopefully we will have something tangible coming out in the next few quarters. But this is something which can be done practically.
All right.
Yeah.
Last 1 minute is for Oberoi. Gemini, your last 1 minute. Since you enabled this chat, you have to unmute, please. You have to unmute. We can't hear you. Yeah.
Sorry. Well, I would say I have nothing more to say. I have let's be a listener, and such excellent gains from Tanmoy and from Prof. Gaurav and Gunjan. So we end up with a very, very happy note. Seeing you tomorrow. I'll be there by 6:30.
Yes, I will be
I'll be there day after also.
Yes. We will spend
all
time.
the best, everyone.
Absolutely.
And may keep it up. We are very proud of Gleeds.
Work that you all do. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, all of you. Have a great, weekend to come. And this week is important. A lot of you who are from Delhi can please join us at the India International Center. Or what is the venue? Yatin, can you tell them of the venue and the program?
India International Center tomorrow 2 p.m.
2 p.m. There is a program. Please join us there. And then day after is the memorial lecture. Please tell them of that. Yatin, the memorial lecture is, where is the venue?
Excuse me, don't we have...
Sir.
Sorry?
Memorial lecture IIC 2 p.m. sir.
Same time. Oh, that is tomorrow or day after? Day after, that is.
Day after, sir. 24th.
Yeah, not
24th.
Tomorrow, day after. 24th it is at 2 p.m. Please, any of you who is now in Delhi, join us. Jain,
tomorrow we are meeting at 6:30, right?
That is a Rama meeting. That's a different
Rama meeting, right? And day after is our board meeting.
Day after is the memorial lecture meeting and the board meeting in the morning. That's right. So 2 p.m. day after at the India International Center. Any of you who are in Delhi, please, you are invited to be there with us. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Thank you, Tanmoy Sinha, for being with us. Grateful to you. Yeah. Bye. Bye. Thank you, all of you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.